This is my V6 Alfa Romeo engine project. You can see I have the 6 pistons and liners back there with their rods lined up, and this is the rod balancing jig that I built. It's just a piece of MDF that I've made sure is leveled with some shims so it can be taken apart, and we have 1/4-inch plywood that has been glued and brackets attached to the back to keep things nice and vertical. With the Alfa rods, they have an offset on them, and you want to put that at least that bump right there. That's the offset side, and you want to put that facing out. Well, at least I do. I built this because I don't have $300 for an actual rod balancing jig. So what I did was I used a circle cutter here, for woodworking. Set it up in my drill press, and I cut two supports, one for the big end, one for the little end. So, just the wrong side. Floats nicely on the end. Freely moves up and down. It's level. The end for it sits on the scale. I have a little pin in it. I put a hole in the center of the scale to make sure things are centered. And this little jig at least gives me consistent results, which is accurate enough for me. If you don't have a lot of money for spend on a guy in a machine shop to do all this work for you, it's not many people do. This is a way you can do it yourself. Measure the diameter of your hole, divide that by 2, and then when you set your circle cutter up, which I think I got this at Menards or whatever big box store, you'll need to subtract the radius of the drill bit. Subtract, add. Yeah, you have to subtract the radius of the drill bit when you do your setup to lock this in place to make your to cut your circle, and that way everything is on center, or close enough to center, so this would work. It's easy. You just set it up. I put a straight edge across the front of the pieces so that they are in the same, so that they're in the same plane. Hard to do while holding a phone. Maybe I'll get a tripod and do a little better video. But as long as things are reasonably square with this, with this little setup that I have less than, well, the cost of the scale and some spare parts lying around. The scale was I think $30. It's my second one. The one that I bought from Harbor Freight I found wasn't accurate enough, but it got me started. And so I can get working on getting all these rods and the wrist pins and the pistons to within a few tenths of a gram, which I think would be all right for a hot street engine. Let's see, before I forget which rod goes where, I'll put that one back at number 2. Yeah. Do your best to keep things organized. I'm still learning how to do that. Yeah, and this is number 6. So that's it for a little tip on a home-built rod balancing jig. Probably have some scrap stuff laying around that you can just glue something together, and as long as things are reasonably square and these 2 points are at the same, your mounts are at the same height and things are reasonably snug, you should be able to get consistent numbers for balancing your rods at home. And this setup would work for anything. I'm using it for Alfa Romeo, but it would work for Honda, work for whatever engine you're building.